everyone. The meeting is called to order. We kindly join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the rescheduled Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. It's originally meant to be held on January 26, 2026. I'd like to take a moment to thank the new members and welcome them. We have Matt Grab and Chris Langoy to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Matt brings experience in running a business, Grab Farm, and Chris has practiced municipal law for many years. We look forward to your insights and contributions to the board's proceedings. Welcome. There are no draft minutes of the previous meeting held on December 15th, 2025 to review at this time. When they are available at the zoning board's next meeting on February 23rd, 2026, the minutes of this meeting and December's meeting will be reviewed then. The agenda for the Town of Brunswick Zoning Board of Appeals, February 9th, 2026 meeting, 6 p.m. Our first application for old business is Quick Check, signed variances at 731 Hoosick Road, followed by new business, which is an application for Golden Grain Pizza at 585 Hoosick Street. I'll begin with a recapitulation on what the zoning board has seen up to this meeting regarding the Quick Check applications for the sign variances. So the zoning board received an application for sign variances from Boulder Engineering on behalf of Quick Check for the September 15th, 2025 meeting. Since then, the number and dimensions of the variances have changed. The current requested variances are: one freestanding sign on Hoosick Road driveway entrance, the traffic signal intersection. What is allowed is 70 square feet. That's 35 feet per side. What is being proposed is 100 square feet, 50 feet per side, a relief of 30 square feet. Also, 2 fuel canopy signs was allowed 12 square feet. What's being proposed is 22.6 square feet. There are 2 of them with the 2 canopies, a relief of 10.6 square feet times 2. There's a wall sign. It's a Q sign logo brand. It's an area variance for height. What is allowed in the law is 3 feet above roof line. What is being proposed is 6.9 feet above roof line, a relief of 3.9 feet. Variances for wall signs on buildings and canopies, the total number. What is allowed is 1 sign. What is being proposed are 4 signs, a relief of 3 signs. And then lastly, a number of all signs, the wall signs on the building and canopies, which we counted as 4, added with the freestanding sign, 1. What is allowed is 1 sign. What is being proposed are 4 signs, the relief for 3 signs. Please note that the freestanding sign is allowed 1 sign. What's being proposed is 1 sign. So there's no relief in that. It's code compliant. And then lastly, we will note that the total square footage area of all proposed signs was allowed in the zoning law is 300 square feet. What's being proposed is 225.5 square feet. There's no relief sought. That is code compliant. So regarding the order of the Zoning Board of Appeals meetings, as was previously stated, the Zoning Board received the application for sign variances in September 2025. In subsequent meetings, the applicant presented additional information. At the November 17th, 2025 meeting, the Zoning Board deemed that the application was complete for the purpose of holding a public hearing. And that was at our December 15th meeting. Public comments, both verbal and written, were accepted at that time, and the public hearing was closed. The zoning board members were prepared to deliberate and act on the application when it was discovered that the Rensselaer County Bureau of Economic Development and Planning's notification of zoning review action was missing from the application materials. The zoning board then determined that it could not proceed until that information was complete. The next meeting of the zoning board was scheduled for its regular January meeting on January 26, 2026, at which time the quick check signs application could continue pending the receipt of the Rensselaer County Bureau of Economic Development and Planning's written consideration. Please note that at this time, at this meeting, the zoning board members are in receipt of the planning's recommendation. However, the town offices were closed on January 26, 2026 due to inclement weather. And when the town offices are closed during the day, no after-hours business is conducted. To hold a zoning board meeting on this evening, February 9th, instead of waiting till the regularly scheduled meeting of our February date, February 23rd, 2026, is to comply with the 62-day rule. And to allow another voice to come in, I'll ask our attorney, Chris Langlois, if you could kindly explain how the 62-day rule applies to this application at this time.
Sure. So the code generally requires that the board make a determination on an application for a variance within 62 days of the conclusion of the public hearing held on the application. My understanding is that if the board had met on January 26th, the date of its regular meeting in January, we would be within that 62-day period. But if we had waited until the next regular meeting, the February meeting on the 23rd, we would have been just outside of that 62-day window. So part of the reason for noticing this special meeting of the ZBA was not only to make up for the meeting that you missed in January, but to make sure that the board had an opportunity to act on the application within that 62-day window. The only thing I'll note, both for this application for future reference, is that 62-day period can be extended on mutual consent of the board and the applicant. So if that ever becomes necessary, we can have that conversation.
All right, thank you very much. So all of that was a summation of how we arrived at today's meeting. So to proceed, the board needs to do a few more things. The applicant could respond to the public comments which he received. The zoning board members had that response in email form, and tonight it was presented to us by the building department in written form. If there are any questions by the zoning board members at that time, that could be brought to the applicant. Because this application seeks area variances, a state Environmental Quality Review Act determination is required. Then the board will review standard elements for consideration of the area variances, followed by possible further deliberation before making motion or motions. And then I just want to remind folks that the public hearing has been closed. So while the applicant has the opportunity to respond to the comments that were made during the public hearing, there are no other back and forth. So I'll turn it over to you, how you would like to handle, if you want to comment on some of the public comments that were made in December. And we do have a copy of that.
Sure. Okay. Good evening. Tim Freitag with Bowler Engineering here on behalf of the applicant to continue our discussion and seek of 5 wall signs here. The chair did a great job explaining what is proposed, so please feel free to ask any questions of what is exactly proposed if there's any ambiguity there. But I'll just go forth and summarize maybe our February 6th response to comment memo. This is a collaboration of the comments received at the December 15th public hearing. It is a transcript response to the meeting minutes, so some of the comments were shortened based on collaboration with the town departments to summarize the meeting minute comments, but also respond to the written comments that were received. I know the board has a copy of these, so maybe I won't run through each and every one, but I'll just hit the high level redundant or repetitive comments, and then we can go into more detail if anybody has any specific questions related to the responses. So in order of our February 6th response to comment summary, one of the first comments was discussed about the monument signage height. We just wanted to reiterate that the monument sign height of 20 feet previously proposed was not a variance request. It met zoning code requirements for that 20-foot maximum allowable. However, in collaboration with this board and the total signage package, we have agreed to limit that to 16 feet. So the revised monument sign was not only reduced to the 50 square feet per side from our original 120 square feet per side from the September application, it's been lowered to that 16-foot height. Comment 2 related to the canopy signage. So we continue to respond to, is the canopy signage required? In our opinion, yes, it is. We need that signage for two things. One, it helps identify the site, obviously advertising what is proposed here. You need signage on a business, but also this is a pass-by trip generation business where you draw traffic from the traveling road. So people are going to be able to see those signs in enough distance to be able to maneuver into the site. Secondly, how this differs from our freestanding sign, because it would be a similar view shed of the freestanding sign to the canopy signage facing the two sides. It shows that gas is branded QuickChek here. It's not a separate Mobile or Sunoco branded gas that you might see at some facilities where the convenience store component is a different brand than the gas component. Here, it's QuickChek branded gas. Item 3 talks about precedent, that approving these variances would be a bad precedent for the town. We think it's the opposite. So when we look along this corridor and when applicants look along this corridor, they see competitors in the market and they want competitive signage. You look down this corridor, Sunoco's got more signage, Cumberland Farms down the street's got more signage than what is now proposed. Our original application from September was above and beyond that. We have now reduced our signage package to actually be less than what Cumberland Farms has. So Cumberland Farms has 2 wall signs, one on the front, one on the side. They've got the 2 canopy signs and the freestanding sign. So we believe we are actually consistent or even less than the community character along this corridor, and that setting precedent is not a concern. What is considered the front of the building and where will the sign face? So just some clarity there. The front of the building is Hoosick. Both of our wall signs are going to be along that frontage of Hoosick. Even though there's 2 signs, one is the QuickChek script text and then the logo. So it's reduced to 1 text, 1 logo on the building. That's it. No side signage on either side of the building or the rear. We already talked about the canopy signage. The Q logo should be small if included. The logo has been reduced in size. It's not taking up the whole face of the green tower element on the building. So the Q is actually smaller than the building face it sits on. A reminder that this Q is not projected in the air to where you can see the Q from behind the building. It's actually on a wall facade, so no light or visibility will be from the neighbors behind us. The definition of building height is actually towards the average main roof line of the building. And in the front of the building, if you remember, there's 2, I'll just call them roof line variations, one for the green tower element in the front that goes about 4 feet above the parapet roof line, and then one over the main doors. So the queue is going to be facing or attached to that facade. But given the height definition of the code is for the overall parapet height, that requires a variance from the relief for that queue to be on that elevated surface. That's consistent with question number 4. Item 5, there should not be a big queue. We talked about the need for logo and branding. The proposed signs would be out of character. We talked about that. Some sign lits, 24 hours would be excessive. I believe everybody understands how signage needs to be on and lit to match business operations. Talking through the next category of comments here, traffic speeds allow adequate time without excessive signage. So that was implied that traffic speeds are actually below the marked speed limit on Hoosick just because of traffic congestion. So not always are cars going to be stopped in front of the store looking for signage. There are outside of the commute hours that you do need adequate signage when cars are going the speed limit to have proper recognition ahead of time for traffic maneuvers. Character, justification. Our application package did include the area variance criteria. We don't believe this request is substantial. It's not going to change the character of the community. Cumulative effects of all signage must be considered, understood. Applicant should abide by existing regulations. So the applicant is abiding by the existing regulations in a whole. We're allowed up to 300 square feet of signage allowed for a business. Our original application had, I believe, 390. So at one time we were above that. We were excessive. The feedback of this board was let's try to get it below that 300. We're at 225 square feet now, so significantly below that threshold. So we do believe we are trying to fall within the purview of the code where we can. Gas stations also require some additional signage for the fueling pricing. That's a standard for this type of use. Inconsistent with the area, we talked about the character already. Signage height is excessive due to the raised site. So this is a difficult comment to respond to because the concern was at the Mohawk-Hoosick corner intersection, the site is lower in elevation there, which it is. Everybody's seen the wall that was needed in order to level the site to where the building is proposed. So from that corner of the site, the building's obviously going to be taller. Counter to that is on the east side of the site, the building elevation is actually lower than the road where you go up to Duncan because that's just the topography of the corridor and Hoosick Road out there. So we did include some factual elevations here to do the math of, depending on where you're looking at the site, what elevation is that going to be at? But we think the analysis should be done really at the signalized intersection at the middle of the site. Our freestanding sign there is only 1 foot above that signalized intersection. So that freestanding sign is not going to be any higher than really the elevation of that signalized intersection. So it's not going to be more excessive than the 16 feet that's being requested. It's a foot higher, so call it 17 feet from the road, and we're still within that 20-foot height. Our building elevation is also 6 feet higher than that signalized intersection right there at our main driveway. So the building is 6 feet higher. So not a significant grade differential there. Talk about branding, talk about concerns of the wall, which isn't part of this application, 24-hour operation, which isn't part of this application. Just a statement to reject the variances. We go through and justify we feel it's adequate signage reduced from the 300 square feet. And we do not believe this is excessive. We talk about branding and traffic safety and just statements of opposition. So that was our response to comments from February 6th. I think we did a good job recapping where we've come. This board has certainly challenged us along this way. Our original application was from September. Here we are in February. So you've made us do our homework. We've amended the application. We've lost signage. We've lost numbers of signs. We went from, I think, 7 signs at one point that has now reduced. We went from 390 square feet total to 225. So we've really been challenged by this board to come back with the minimum required that we feel necessary, and that's where we are today. So we appreciate your time and collaboration here, and if there are any other questions, be happy to address, but we hope and we feel we are well within the character of this Hoosick Street corridor based on, the signage surrounding us. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's proceed. This is a non-residential State Environmental Quality Review Act process. There is a short environmental assessment form submitted with the application. The board needs to review the information contained in that form to determine whether, in the board's opinion, there is a potential for at least one significant adverse environmental impact from the proposed action. We'll note that both the planning board and the zoning board previously determined that there would be no significant adverse environmental impact from other applications, from other actions as part of this application. Taking that into consideration, and based on my opinion of the information, I make a motion to adopt a negative determination. Would a member second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, John. All in favor?
Aye.
Our seeker is done. The zoning board will now review the standard elements for consideration of the area variances. The chair is looking for the opinion of the board on how to handle the variances. Does the board want to consider all 6 as a group or to handle them individually? Just to note, historically, the board has looked at each variance individually when we've had an application like this.
So just to clarify, and I think what you're asking is that there's 3 ways the board can go about this, right?
Right.
You can decide to grant all 6 requested variances as a package. You can vote to deny all 6 variance applications as a package, or you can go through each of them individually and decide yes to this one, yes to that one, no to that one, or some combination thereof.
And just to kind of put a fine point on what you're saying, we could choose the first 2 methods of handling this after deliberation. You still would need deliberation.
Correct.
Yeah.
So none of this preempts
Right.
or discussion on each of the elements of the variances that they're looking for, the board's view on, how the application weighs against the factors you're supposed to consider. That's all part of the process. And I'm not sure if the applicant, I guess part of the question is, does it, from the applicant's perspective, does it do you any good to get some, but not all of these variances?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So it might make sense for the board to look at these from a decision standpoint individually.
Does anyone have a differing opinion?
No, I'd like to go through them individually.
Thank you. Okay, very good. Thank you. So at the chairperson's discretion, the board will consider the requested area variances in the following order. Number 1, the wall sign Q height variance. Number 2, the fuel canopy signs area variance. Number 3, the freestanding sign area variance. Number 4, the total number of wall signs and buildings and canopy signs. And then lastly, number 5, the total number of signs.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So they have a quick check sign on the front of the building. And then they're also asking for the Q. So those are 2 separate signs. And they're only allowed 1 sign on the front of the building, right?
So
Kevin, can
where,
you
yeah,
maybe
address
walk
that to
through
building
the
department.
number issue?
So you're allowed 2 signs on the front of any building,
Okay.
but you can substitute one of them for a pylon sign. So our code says you're allowed 2 signs on the front of any building.
Okay.
If you choose a pylon sign, you give up one of those signs, and you can have 1 sign on the building and 1 pylon. That's what's allowed. in our
So they
code.
are asking for an additional sign then?
Yeah, that's in the list, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So where does, I'm
So
just,
they're asking for a total of, the relief of 4 additional
and that would be
signs,
one of them. Okay.
Okay, good, all right. So the wall sign, Q, in height. So the board is asked to explain how no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood nor detriment to nearby properties created by granting the area variance. And I would begin by answering yes. You may ask, how can this be? And it's proposed to go into a commercial corridor of Hoosick Road. However, it's essentially the height of the sign on the building that sits seriously out of place at the height in this neighborhood. Then the board is asked to explain why the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. And I would just say for the wall sign Q height, there was no other option offered. Then the board is just asked to describe whether the requested area variance is substantial. We'll note that what is allowed is a 3 foot above the roof line. What is being proposed is 6.9 feet above roof line, a relief of 3.9 feet. And I would say, yes, it is substantial because the request is in addition to how high the building exceeds the height of all commercial buildings in the surrounding area. Then the board is asked to explain how the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. And we can note here that no potential environmental impacts on such factors as drainage, dust, noise, or odor, among other things. And then lastly, the board is asked to explain whether the difficulty is self-created, noting, of course, that the consideration is relevant, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. I would say yes, because the zoning laws were in effect when the application was submitted, though it constitutes only one factor to be considered by the board. And like said, it initially does not act by itself to bar the granting of the area variance. Is there any further deliberation by the board members on this? After considering the balance between the benefit to the applicant is weighed against any detriment to the community at large or the neighborhood in particular, the zoning board will determine whether to grant the requested area variance.
I make a motion that the area variance be denied.
Would a member second? Thank you, John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I hear no opposition. The variance has been denied.
Mr. Chairman, I couldn't hear the.
I'm very sorry. The motion was made to deny this area variance. There was a second by one of the board members. We called a vote and it was held up. You're welcome.
So just because we have a number of different elements of this variance, I'm just going to kind of restate what I think just happened.
Yep.
So and I'm looking at the January 22nd letter from Bowler that lists out each of the individual variances being requested. The third item in that grid, wall sign, Q sign, on the height issue, where what is allowed is 3 feet above roof line, and what was requested was a variance to allow 6 feet 9 inches above roof line. That area variance request has been denied.
That's how I see it.
So they can still have a Q sign, they just need to keep it within what's allowed 3 feet above roof line.
Well, the Q sign has to be approved too, because that's the second sign on the front of the building.
Okay, but as far as the height is concerned.
As far as this variance goes.
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
I'm going to get awfully confused if we don't.
Yeah, no,
No,
thank
no,
you. I appreciate
We all will.
that.
Thank
That
you.
clarity.
What was the next one you wanted to address, Ann?
Yep.
Fuel canopy.
The fuel canopy signs. Do you need to take a moment to kind of write down what has just happened?
I do not.
Okay, very good. We'll move on then. For this variance, we'll begin with number 1. Explain how no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood, nor detriment to nearby properties created by granting the area variance.
And very quickly, I apologize for
No, it's quite right.
just so we're clear.
Right.
The variance you are addressing now is for the fuel canopy sign, the area requirement, where what is allowed is 12 square feet and what is being proposed is 22.6 square feet for 2 signs.
Yes,
Thank you.
welcome. So the undesirable change to the neighborhood would be in the addition to the number of signs allowed to the property. So how this would be a change to the neighborhood would be the additional signs that we're allowing if the variance was granted.
Not the total number of signs, but the size of those signs?
This would be number. That's what I'm addressing.
All right. This is what I thought we were talking.
Right,
Fuel canopy,
right.
they want something with greater square feet than is allowed.
Okay, great.
Okay. So, and Kevin, just help us out here. I understand they are allowed 2 fuel canopies.
Yes.
The question at issue with the variance is
The
the
size.
size of those signs.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that,
No, you're right,
Okay.
that my comment wouldn't be relevant.
The signs are already there.
Well,
They're covered up.
they did install them, but
Yeah.
we had them covered up.
No, they were visible for several days.
They were.
so the analysis that you're going to go through is about the size of the signs,
Right.
not the number.
Number, right. Okay, so because there would be an 88% increase above what's allowed in the code, I am saying that that would cause an undesirable change to the neighborhood.
Now, we never talked size of these signs before feeling like we're starting something new here.
Sure, and I don't want to bring any surprises, or that's not my intention. But that, I believe, is what is being described in your chart.
Are we not understanding that variance application correctly?
The request is correct. We've just been at 4 meetings where the size of the canopy signs was never discussed or a concern.
But that is
So-
what's being requested.
Yes, that
Okay.
is what's being requested, but if the response is, hey, no alternative was provided, that wasn't a discussion point because we're so far under that 300, we didn't realize the size of those signs, and you can see them on this elevation here where the concern.
Right, right. I accept your comment. I appreciate the thought behind it. The thought behind my comment is that these are the dimensions that we have to work with. And it's the size of the sign.
So, and maybe it makes sense to walk through your view on each of the 5 criteria.
Right, I believe we're on number 1.
Correct. So
Yeah.
there's other ones.
May I make a suggestion too? It sounded like you were going to jump to number of signs, and I know we've talked about the fuel signs in whole previously, not necessarily the size, but do we want to go to that variance first?
So I believe what we dealt with first was the Q wall sign.
Yeah, just the number of signs, which relates to these signs.
Why, just out of curiosity, why would you suggest that?
Because why would we get a denial on the size and then also go to a denial on the number? Let's see if these signs are discussed in a possibility first before we jump to the size, determine the size of them. Because we have had discussion about, do we want these canopy signs or not?
So your point is, if the board were to decide to deny in whole or in part your request for variance on the total number of signs, and as a result of that, these canopy signs go away, then the area issue is irrelevant,
Correct. Or
vice versa.
a deliberation in the number of signs of if the sizes were smaller, maybe that would help justify the number of signs.
So have.
Yeah.
So I guess.
I'll leave it up to the chair.
And I don't know which way folks are going, but
Yep.
let's say they decide, we're not happy to increase the size of your canopies. You can have them, but you're going to be stuck with what the code allows. That might make it easier for them to swallow the total number.
Sure.
So I'm not sure.
Yep, that's
if
fine.
the sequence necessarily suggests a better way.
We can proceed as is, just a little surprised of where the reception has been of how far we've come thus far, but I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. We're working collaboratively. So we're at number 2. The second standard that we're asked to look at, and that's to explain why the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variances. And again, this is for the signs on the fuel canopy. I think what was talked about and brought up in previous meetings was if the colors of the canopy spoke for themselves, and the way that the Quick Check uses the green, the lime green color and the dark green color for branding. So that another possible option would be to, if we eliminated the Quick Check signs on the canopies, then the green colors would then accurately correspond to the green colors of the principal building, not needing to tell the customers, hey, we have Quick Check Fuel, hey, we have Quick Check Market, we're both the same, could just tell that by the coordination of the colors. Anybody have any other comments?
On that one criteria, you still have a few more to go through?
Yes, we do. We have 3 more.
Right.
I was just wondering if there are any comments on
I don't have
that
any.
standard. Okay. Number 3, the board is asked to describe whether the requested area variance is substantial. We'll note that it's for the fuel canopy signs. There are 2 of them. What is allowed is 12 square feet. What is being proposed is 22.6 square feet. That's a relief of 10.6 square feet.
It is substantial with the square footage that's allowed being at 12 square feet.
I would agree, Daryl. The math shows us that's an 88% increase. Then we're asked to explain how the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
Won't have any impact, it's just signage on the side of the building.
I agree too. Thank you. And lastly, the board is asked to explain whether the difficulty is self-created. We'll note that the consideration is relevant, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance.
It's self-created because it's what Quick Check wants as far as signage goes.
Is there any further deliberation?
I have a question for Tim.
Of course.
Is there, so the signage, it definitely has to be there, the request is to have it there. The square footage, I mean, I think we did talk about this in the last meeting about the sign, the size of the font being smaller.
Yeah, so you can see right here, the quick check text size is proposed to take up the full height of that
Right,
parapet.
okay.
So a smaller element wouldn't fill that full void, it would be smaller. Is that an option? Yes, it is an option. But the cube, I think some of the discussion was leave the cube big, but the text smaller, but there is a proportional relationship there with sizing. But is there a 12 square feet option? Probably not. It would be custom sizing to shrink it.
The ones that were put up, do you know what the size is?
The package that was submitted is what was ordered. They had to order signage in order to have signage for opening. So that doesn't sway, the vote one way or the other. It's a decision that they made. And if they have to take it down, they have to take it down. To your point, that happened. That's separate, but it's representative of what's being proposed.
But how big were the letters, you know?
They matched the spec that was submitted here, so the Q, the biggest portion is 1 foot, 15 inches, or 5 inches, so 17 inches. Right?
So what,
And
I
the whole
didn't-
fascia is 3 feet.
pardon?
The whole fascia is 3 feet tall, and the height of the text is 1 foot, 5 inches.
So it's almost half.
So it's about half.
And that's what's up there now, and that's what was covered up.
That's what was
I
covered
didn't see
up.
it.
Yep.
That's
But it's one panel. The whole band comes as one panel.
All right.
So they'll have to take that whole panel off. Yep.
You said the panel is 3 feet?
The whole fascia here
Mhm.
is 3 feet.
Are there any other questions? So after considering the balance between the benefit to the applicant as weighed against any detriment to the community at large or the neighborhood in particular, the zoning board will determine to grant the requested area variance.
personally am not as opposed to this variance as I was to the queue. Just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm one way or the other, but it doesn't bother me as much as the queue.
So you,
The height of the queue, I mean.
right, I understand. Right. Would you like to make a, I'm sorry, Daryl.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm in agreement with that.
So the view that Ann, as chair and a board member expressed, was she felt that the requested size variance for the 2 canopy signs were going to result in an undesirable change in the neighborhood, that the benefits sought by the applicant could be achieved in some alternative way. For example, having a sign that complies with the size requirements, that it would be a substantial variance in terms of percentage, and that the hardship that the applicant faces with the signage is self-created. That, I suspect, would lead Ann toward voting to deny the variance. Are there board members who see it differently than Ann on those points and would be inclined to vote in favor?
I don't know that I'm inclined either way. It doesn't bother me quite as much as the height of the queue.
You can make a motion if you wish, if you so would like. Any comments from this side of the aisle?
Okay to ask Kevin the size of the lettering on Cumberland Farms is canopy.
It's not. So part of the analysis, right, especially on the criteria of undesirable change in the neighborhood, well, what is the character of the neighborhood in this corridor? So the question was raised, do we know what the size of the lettering is on the Cumberland Farm store, which I guess is in proximity to this area? I know that in the response to the comments, the applicant pointed out that what they were proposing is not inconsistent with what's already existing in the area. The only qualification I would have is that the size of the letters per se isn't the issue. It's the size of the sign and the area of the sign. So even if they had microscopic sized letters, if they still had a sign area of 22.6 square feet, that would still require a variance because the code only allows 12 square feet.
Tim, can I see that?
Yeah.
What's the height of the canopy? Do you know?
So that's what I'm referring to.
It's about 15 feet and then plus the 3, so 15.
It's
clear.
18 feet.
probably the same size. The difference is the quick check is just a lot higher because the canopy's a lot higher.
And the top of the building is 32 feet.
Yeah, if you could kind of say what you discovered.
Well, what I was looking at is this lettering right here.
So just because poor Andy's going to try and create minutes of this when we're done. So right now we're looking at a board that has a couple photographs of the existing Cumberland Farm Station.
So what I was looking at is the size of the lettering that's on the canopy. And I think that this is magnified because the canopy is actually much higher.
It's not. Their typical canopies have that 15-foot.
I'm saying from the visual standpoint and from the neighborhood. So the people that are living there, it's a lot higher.
You're talking about the site elevation.
Correct.
It's not. The people who are living there are higher in elevation than our site.
No,
Right.
I'm not trying to get off the topic. I'm just saying what my reference point was on it.
Understood. Yeah.
And it appears that they're approximately the same size. The letter.
But just a reminder, because the height keeps coming up, right? So this house is about, I think it was like 4 or 6 feet higher in elevation than our site, right? So as you come up this road, it continues to get higher. As you come up Hoosick, it continues to get higher. So this portion of the road is actually taller than our building at the ground floor, not far, right? So this is the maximum, or the biggest differential in height here. Coming eastbound, but westbound, you're actually at higher elevation than the site. And the two canopy signs that we're discussing are here. So again, you wouldn't really see those from the neighborhood behind you.
It would, Ms. Gavin, I was referring to the other, can you show the other picture?
Sure.
The other one?
This is just two photos of the Cumberland Farms further down the road.
Yeah.
They've
So I
got the
was-
freestanding sign, the canopy signs, and the two building signs. And this was submitted in the application earlier on. We had a whole meeting going through comparisons along the corridor.
Yeah.
And I believe Kevin did some research on that, and in the record showed that larger variances have been granted than what is currently being requested here along this corridor.
So we went through the 5 elements. We continue to deliberate on this one particular request.
So we identifying this as number 2.
Yes.
So I make a motion to grant the variance. This one.
Correct.
This is Fuel Island sign. Third one down,
That's
right? Yeah.
the-
No, so
The fuel
we have a
canopy.
different,
Okay, so it's this one.
so it's this one, right? Fuel canopy sign.
Correct. Yep, so that'd be number 2.
Would a member second?
I didn't have.
Yep. So Daryl made a motion to approve this
I'll
variance.
second it then.
Thank you, John. All in favor? Aye. Aye. The variance is granted. And it would allow 2 canopy signs. At 22.6 square feet.
Could we do like a 2-minute recess?
Of course,
Maybe just
yes.
a quick step out. Okay. Just relax.
A lot better than I thought.
Can we pause it? I have no idea how to pause it.
Shut that door. Whatever that is out there, it's clear.
There's a door down here. It's like, I think it's the Phillips.
I couldn't hear anything over that. That just was magnifying that like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
The reason I was. That lettering on the Cumberland Farms is pretty much the same. It shows that, except
Well, another thing, it's not a swirl, the building sits higher.
Right.
And the fact that it sits higher, I think the pleasure of it.
Right.
I mean, couple of points right out there, you're good and bad.
But there's no way.
I mean, I just saw it wasn't there. It was there all night. But we can't do that.
I think it's actually. Right here. So if this is 3 feet, and these letters are only a foot and a half, relative to a foot and a half.
So the letters.
really bothered me is this, because they say that the queue is above the thing. This is built up just for that queue. Otherwise, everything would be level.
Right, but what you're saying is your, so that was denied.
Yeah.
Right? But this structure was not.
But that structure's only there to put the queue on.
I
That's what I'm saying.
understand that, so why, I don't know why, if that was denied, then this whole thing right here should have been. What difference does it make if there's a queue on the front of it that's facing the road?
I don't think it should be there, in all honesty. Is that above the allowed level of the?
Yeah. Well, it was 3.9.
That's the queue. I mean, the part of the building is not too high. I don't think it is. But the only reason out there is the queue. Not high.
You have to wait for Ian to come.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that, folks.
Andy just stepped out. We'll wait till he comes back. Yeah, and just to note, explain, while I did see that area variance as being substantial, hearing the deliberation and the opinions and considerations that Daryl and John brought up, I was able to vote in favor of that area variance. The third one that we'll look at is the freestanding sign. The board is asked to explain how no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood, nor detriment to nearby properties created by granting the area variance. And I would just note that the additional requested square footage would result in a structure that would be uncharacteristic for that neighborhood. And the board is asked to explain why the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. Yeah, and I would note that I personally appreciate the multiple attempts made by the applicant to reduce the total amount of square footage, that a further reduction needs to be made.
I feel like we're going down this path again of not clearly discussed previously. Keep in mind, gas stations need additional signage for pricing. That's consistent of these gas stations. If you look down this corridor, every single sign is going to be larger than that 32 square feet in front of a gas station. We've gone through the comparisons before of Yazzie, Sunoco, Cumberland Farms. They need that additional sizing for the pricing, right? So we reduced the height because of that concern. We talked about a monument sign. We can't do a monument sign given where this, what side of the intersection we are here, because cars exiting need to have this clear view. So it's got to be in the air. But the quick check component is only a small piece of the proposed sign, given the gas pricing. So please keep that in mind.
Where does that sign sit on the property? And then where they're exiting out onto the street is further out. So it's not going to really impede their vision to get out. once
Oh, yeah,
they-
absolutely.
Once they come out,
You
and
need to
and there's a light there.
Yeah, so traffic safety measures have this sightline triangle. It's a certain dimension in from a corner of a property line that's got to be free and clear up to 6 or 8 feet. That would obstruct that visibility. Any DOT requirements got that. It's not, you don't need to see once you're past your driveway. You need to see ahead of time to be able to look to your right. Is there a pedestrian walking on the sidewalk? Yes. Then I need to stop and wait. Yeah. So that's not the applicant driving that one. That one's really the engineering driving pedestrian safety for getting that up on the pole and not doing a monument style here. I think this shows. See, this one's actually on the inbound side. We don't have anybody waiting in this lane.
Thank you. Then the board is asked to describe whether the requested area variance is substantial. We'll note what is allowed, 70 feet per square foot, that's 35 feet per side. What is being proposed is 100 square feet, 50 feet per side, a relief of 30 feet. Square feet, pardon me.
15 feet each side, right? 15 squares
Yeah,
side?
50,
15 each side.
50.
There's a
15
relief.
feet
No.
each
Oh,
side.
yes, I'm sorry, really
Relief.
sorry. Yes, correct.
And I just did the math of the upper piece. That's 4 by 6.5, that's 26 square feet. If we were to be able to exclude the pricing, so 26 square feet per side.
What did you just say?
See how the quick check branding is the top half and then
Right.
pricing is the bottom half?
Right,
So the calculation as submitted for the variance is for the whole sign.
right.
If you did just the advertising for quick check, just this top panel, it's 4 by 6.5, which is 26 square feet.
So
Okay.
you would need a variance.
We wouldn't need a variance. My point earlier of pricing for these type of use is what typically requires the larger amount of square footage. And some municipalities break out gas pricing from that calculation, but in this case, it includes the whole area. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear of the actual branding of Quick Check is 26 per side.
Which is more important to you, the quick check or the price?
You're not going to buy it if you don't know whose it is. So they're both. And the pricing, I think, is run by state law. You have to market it, right? You have to show the price. I
There's,
can't guarantee that's the price though. 234. We're
Yeah.
getting close.
Well,
um,
that'd be nice.
and I'm just commenting. There's a lot of unused green space in the logo sign, where if you either took out the Q or took out the quick check, you'd be able to reduce the size of that component of it.
And as we seek alternative options, we did previously mention that in a prior meeting that Quick Check is new to this market. they're on a branding tour. They're trying to open, their first locations are under construction, this being one of them. Folks around here don't know who Quick Check is, so it's a branding to come to the capital region, identify the name and the logo. So the branding is important to them
You need both the Q and the word quick check to do that,
to explain the logo. Yep.
even with the wall sign and, actually, that one got, that height issue got to them. Okay. You can still have your wall sign.
We can, but this would be the only logo. So you're asking McDonald's to open without the golden arches. Right, McDonald's on their buildings have McDonald's, and then they have the M's, that's their
But
logo.
You see what I'm saying? You could do that where it says quick check, or you could do that where it just says Q and save yourself some square footage.
Yeah, I get-
As long as you understand that's all.
I understand the alternative options, yes, but they do need the branding recognition to a new to market, showing what their logo is. Yep. So they want both.
Right, but it wouldn't be the only, if I understood you correctly, it wouldn't be the only place where you'd have that because it's on the canopy.
It would be on the canopies too. That's right. Thanks for that correction. But with the queue off of the building now, it wouldn't be on the building.
But there's going to be a big quick check sign on the front of the building that is going to stand out.
It's a difference between the script and the logo.
So
That's what brands have. Brands have a name, brands have a logo.
they denied the height of the queue on the building. They didn't deny the queue yet, right? You just said the queue was removed from the building.
Correct. The height was removed, so the queue could still be an option if it was.
I just for
Yep.
clarity, just for clarity.
Thank you.
Yep.
There's a lot going on, Tim.
There is. There is.
Because if you worked within the 35 square foot per side, then what dimensions would be the listing of the two fuel prices?
Don't know.
Roughly half. You said 26 was the green part on top.
Right, and 35.
So 24 on the bottom half
It'd have
to
to be
get you
30,
to 50 altogether?
To get to the 50.
30% smaller. They're about 30% over, roughly. So it'd be about 30%
Yeah,
smaller.
so the whole sign would have to shrink.
About 30%.
But again, your branding is at the 26 square feet. So if we didn't have to do gas pricing advertising, we could get the bigger script and logo. We'd be able to fit that. But in this case, we've got the fuel pricing. I did see Cumberland Farms, it was, I think, $269 on the way home.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Anyway, any way to bring the height down on there?
So we were at the 20 feet,
Right.
right? And that's what's allowed.
Right.
We brought that down to the 16.
16.
We did discuss going lower, but we needed the pole free clear span of that 8 feet underneath.
Because 16-foot sign is huge. High, very high.
Where it's not necessarily needed in this type of traffic. If the traffic's not going at excessive speeds, where you need to see a sign
But
like
the,
along the way.
just to clarify, and again, I'm the new guy.
Yeah.
The height of the canopy sign
It's
is
not-
not
What we're
in
talking
Height
front
of
of
the
you guys.
freestanding
Pylon,
Yeah.
pylon.
No,
Pylon
that's,
sign.
we're talking about the pylon sign.
Yeah.
Correct. So my understanding is
It's,
the height is compliant. There's no variance being requested for the height.
It is.
But if they brought the height down, wouldn't it bring the size of the sign down?
So your concern is related to the variance for size. But again, look at the pricing there on the screen. That's consistent. That freestanding sign is bigger than what we're requesting. I believe that was 120 or 130 square feet. That was presented by Kevin at a prior meeting.
And Kevin, did Cumberland Farms come in for variances for those signs?
Yes.
Okay.
But some of us were not on the.
I got it. I'm just,
So,
they weren't grandfathered, it wasn't pre-existing, it didn't predate the sign law, it just, they came in, applied for
That's my
variance.
understanding, yeah.
They got what
I
they
was
got.
not here either. but yes.
yeah. Some of
And this
us
was
weren't
just
here.
one example. We went through a couple at a prior meeting.
So Ann, I think you had walked through a few of the elements, undesirable change, feasible alternatives, substantiality.
Right.
I'm not sure if you expressed your opinion on the substantiality, other than noting what they were looking for was a total 30 square foot more than what would be allowed under the code.
Right. Yeah, a 42.8 increase, right? Yeah, so I believe that like a freestanding sign that is code compliant can accomplish its purpose and still be an effective means of communicating the information and public safety. And then in regards to public safety, most likely a condition would be to add the 911 address.
Yeah, I believe we did have a prior rendering on one of the interim freestanding signs. We have
Okay.
reduced this a few times, and we just provided the latest small sign, but previously we did have that 911 address. That's no problem. And again, when we're just talking size of signage, so you got to find a sweet spot for size. You don't want a sign too small where people have to really squint or take their time to look at it. You want it crystal clear of what you're looking at. So when you're traveling on the corridor, you can make that split-second decision of turning into lanes. A too small of a sign, it's hard to read, causes confusion, and you have to take a little bit longer. Your code took that into consideration when there was a standard size established for a freestanding sign. It did not consider fuel pricing, right? So again, what's really driving this request, why it's unique, why it's not substantial, is because of the fuel addition. Otherwise, we're under that threshold already with 26 square feet, smaller than neighboring businesses. Not only Cumberland Farms, you look at Burger King, Dunkin' Donuts, Walmart, they all have freestanding signs. So appreciate you taking that into consideration. Thank you.
Then the board's asked to explain how the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. And no, the proposed sign and its potential will not have an impact on such factors as drainage, dust, odor, noise. Then lastly, the board is asked to explain whether the difficulty is self-created, noting the consideration is relevant but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. I would say yes, it is self-created, though it constitutes only one factor to be considered by the board. There's no further deliberation. The board will consider the benefit balance between the applicant is weighed against any detriment to the community at large or the neighborhood in particular, and granting a requested variance.
Do any of the board members have a different view of the criteria than the view that the chair expressed in terms of undesirable change, feasible alternatives, substantiality, self-created?
I don't. You started out at, the proposed was 240, us to have that now. So, make a motion to grant the variance.
All right, so just so we're being clear, okay? If you're voting in favor of granting the variance on the freestanding
Pylon sign.
pylon sign, to give it more area than would otherwise be allowed, I'm assuming you're in favor of it because you don't think granting the variance is going to result in an undesirable change in the neighborhood. Because you don't consider the substantiality of the variance to be an impediment, because you don't see feasible alternatives for the applicant. And maybe part of that ties into the fact that, as you've heard from the applicant, they're required to have this lower portion with the gas prices. That's kind of taking up room that they don't really have discretion to not use. And from all of that, balancing those things out, you're comfortable granting the variance.
Yeah, we've had multiple, they've been in front of the board several months in a row, and they've made concessions, decreasing. And I think the last decrease that was done, it was brought down, was a discussion on the board about what would be considered to be acceptable. But can you try and get to this point? And I think that they've done a really good job doing that. The only other option is, like you said, is to reduce the size of the top, the green box. So,
So the remaining members, you've heard some of Ann's perspective, you've heard some of Darrell's perspective. Does anybody have any questions or anything else to,
I think you pretty much agree with Daryl.
John agrees with Darrell? All right, if the board members have exhausted their discussion and deliberation on the application, somebody can make a motion to either grant or deny variance application with respect to the freestanding sign.
I believe Daryl did. Daryl
Oh,
did make a motion.
I'm sorry.
I'll take that. Would a member second?
All right, I'll second.
Thank you, John. All in favor?
All right.
No.
I'm in favor.
So we have a 3-2 vote. So the motion is granted.
Andy, did you get that vote? Okay.
So here we're going to need to tap into our math skills. So we're going to look at the total number of wall signs. So kind of like scoring a baseball game. How much?
So just so I understand.
Yes.
And we'll say this out.
Yep.
And Kevin, please chime in if I misstate this. The code allows one wall sign, which can either be a building or a canopy sign.
Allows 2 front wall signs, one of which could be substituted for a pylon sign.
Okay. So maybe would you mind explaining to us what the code allows versus the total number of signs that the applicant is asking for, so we have that math correct?
Yes, they have the Q on the front of the building, separate from the fixed sign, two separate signs, correct, Tim?
Correct.
And then they have the pylon sign, it's 3. And then they have the 2 on the fuel canopies. Total of 5. The fuel canopies, the way the code is, you're allowed basically two price signs on the, they don't differentiate between the ceiling of the canopy and the pumps.
So 1 Q, 2 canopies, and the freestanding.
Correct. Plus the single wall sign that says quick check.
Okay.
So they're proposing 5 signs where the code allows for 2?
Yeah, and as I sit here and think about it, I suppose maybe we might want to reconfigure that because they are allowed, on a fuel station, you are allowed 2 additional signs on the fuel island, but it doesn't differentiate between the canopy and the gas pumps. So maybe we should change that to 3, as I sit here and think about that, because you are allowed 2 when you have a gas station.
Are they proposing signs on the fuel dispensers?
We haven't got
No,
that
they
far
took
yet.
that
No. That's not in the application at this time of discussion, but we have, the way it's written in here, it's all signs is separate from wall signs,
Yes,
correct? So we have allowed 1 wall sign,
correct.
4 proposed, because we're opting to use the freestanding as our second wall sign.
Correct.
So as it's written for wall signs, 1 is allowed, 4 wall signs are proposed. That's the quick check on front of the building.
Yep.
The queue, 2 canopies.
Right.
And then you're allowed 1 pylon and you have 1 pylon.
Correct.
So then, I see where you're going, Tim. So you're treating the ones on the canopies if they're wall signs on, so you'd still be allowed to put signs on the fuel.
Yep, that's separate.
I'm
Yep.
with you now. Gotcha. Okay. So the way it stands is correct then. You follow this logic?
I do.
But being allowed 2 wall signs on the frontage, we opted the 1 wall sign and the freestanding sign.
Yeah.
That's why allowed is noted as 1,
Yeah.
not 2.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
So the queue on the front of the building is an extra one,
Please.
is what you're saying.
Is extra, yes.
You're asking for approval of that.
We're asking for a total of 4.
And are you putting queues on the fuel pumps or not? In,
The fuel pumps are separate. The
Right.
application is just for this.
but they can have them
So,
on
yeah,
the pumps?
they're allowed to have them on the fuel pump. Our code really doesn't differentiate between the ceiling, the canopy, and the fuel pump. So what he's saying is he wants to put the signs on the canopy, and he'd still be allowed to put signs on the pumps, which any pump has.
Queued up.
So then, according to what has already been granted by in the previous variances, 4 signs are being proposed, and 2 is allowed by code.
I think it gets confusing for me because I think you were allowed 2, but you took 1 of those 2 to use it for the freestanding. So I think the way it's written on this January 22nd letter from Bowler is correct, which is under the code, based on what they've chosen, they're allowed 1 wall sign. They would like a total of 4. And the 4 quote unquote wall signs are the quick check word sign, the logo Q, and then the 2 canopy signs. So you've previously granted the size variances for the freestanding sign and the canopy, fuel canopy signs. You said no to the Q sign, but that was only about height, not whether they could have it or not. Right?
Okay. Great. All right. Does everyone understand that? All right. So we're going to go through our elements. Yeah. We're asked to explain how no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood nor detriment to nearby properties created by granting the area variance. So if we were to be consistent in the way that we voted, not individually, but as a board, then we would not see a difference in the character of the neighborhood in allowing for the total of 4 signs. Anyone see that differently?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, I am not in favor of the queue on the front of the building. I'm okay with the 2 canopy signs, but I don't feel that it's necessary to have the queue on the front of the building. It's on the canopy signs, it's on the monument sign, and it's not necessary to have another one on the front of the building.
Does anyone have a disagreeing opinion? So in regards to the queue, the board did not grant the variance to have the height which was being requested. This is the actual sign itself as it's included in the total number of wall and canopy signs.
So just so I'm clear.
Yeah.
Based on your comment, they're allowed 1, they've asked for 4, you'd be inclined to give them 3,
Mhm.
and the one you would take away would be the Q sign.
Right. I would also be in favor of that modification if we could make it.
And maybe you can articulate for us a little better your concerns with the Q sign specifically, and why you're not in favor of allowing the variance for additional number of signs as to that one in particular.
Well, I mean, if you look at the signage that they're proposing, the quick check on the front of the building is going to stand out.
Thank you.
And then you have the 2 quick checks on either side, and I've already seen them live, and they stand out. So I just don't feel that, and then you have the monuments, or the
Freestanding.
pylons, the
Yeah.
freestanding sign with that whole logo again. So I just think that it's unnecessary to have that extra queue up there.
That's
With
that's why
that,
the
I
mixed
agree.
river.
I agree.
The applicant has stated that they're new in the area and nobody knows what the queue means anyway. So why do you need it if nobody knows what it is?
For now, sir, but the goal is to build the brand, right? So if you look at, a Walmart, if you look at Dunkin', if you look at McDonald's, they've got the golden arches anywhere to make it memorable. And keep in mind what's different between a wall sign and a freestanding sign, right? They have different purposes. That's why you have both. Freestanding sign is perpendicular to the road. You see it as you approach from the sides, tells you where to enter the site. Wall signage is face of the building where I walk into the store. Once I get to the site, now I'm looking around, okay, I turn in here, but then where do I have to go? You see the building. And this is at a signalized intersection that across the street, you're not going to see that freestanding sign, right? Right here, you're not going to see any advertisement on the freestanding sign. You're not going to see the advertisement on the side of the canopy. You're just going to see the building. That quick check strip could be bigger. We're not here for a variance of the size of that. We're only asking 1 script, 1 logo. It's just the part of the brand is having 1 script and 1 logo. We don't feel it's excessive.
So I think I would just bring into this discussion the color scheme again. That Quick Check has chosen this bright lime green, the leafy dark green as part of the branding. It's a uniform look. So I think with that package in the canopies and then on the front, it makes that queue unnecessary. Yeah. Yeah.
Next to the word Q check, Quick Check.
Yeah, so if you want to say that out loud and you can address that to the applicant for sure. If you want to address that question to the applicant. Okay, sorry.
Just a thought, can the queue, because there's an issue among some of the board members about the queue being up on the, I guess, up on the top of the building like that, could the queue go next to the word Quick Check, like it is on the pilot sign?
That's a possibility.
So the queue is part of the brand.
I've heard that a lot.
We heard about the height. So respectfully, we would like the queue, we'll bring it down to where it's within a certain height for variance. But the Quick Check with the queue is the brand we're building.
Tim, he's got to come to the mic and
Yeah.
identify who he
Just
is,
introduce yourself.
please.
I'm Stuart Kibble, I'm the real estate manager for
Thank
Quick Check.
you.
Thank you. So the branding is important to us as it is with any company, whether it's McDonald's, Taco Bell, Sunoco, whoever it is. It's the brand. So we heard the comments about the height of the queue. So I think we can comply with the height on the roof line. And if we comply with that, you know, we're respectfully asking that you allow us to put our brand on the building. It's, I don't know how else to explain it other than that's the brand we're building. I heard your comment that nobody knows who we are, why do we need it? That's exactly why we do need it. So I hear the comments. I appreciate the debate going back and forth in the conversation, but it's an important part of our brand.
But your question there was about the location of the queue, right? Could it be moved from the green pillar over to the text that says Quick Check?
So I understand it. So we, this is our architectural facade was designed with that tower to put the queue on it. So moving that queue off of it is defeating the purpose that we put that there. So I understand the height issue. We're going to comply with that. But that tower was built to put the queue on it for our brand.
So as we answer that question of what are feasible alternatives, per code, the alternative would allow that queue to be attached to that script text to count it as one sign. That sign could be bigger, even bigger than the total square foot of those two added. We're at 225. We could go up to 300. So the alternative is we could fill that space with both signage, right? Up to that 300 square foot total, making it bigger. What's being proposed is smaller, breaking up the signage to complement the architecture. That's the alternative that's being proposed versus following what's allowable per the code. And we have removed redundant signage from the other sides of this building for that.
And I will say again, I appreciate that that's part of the branding, but the branding is shown on the pylon sign and on the canopy signs for the fuel canopies. And I do not feel that the queue is necessary.
So here's just an observation, okay? on this specific variance request, they're here because the total number of signs exceeds what's allowed.
Right.
You can decide, you can grant the variance altogether and leave them with what the code allows. Or you could say, well, we're not going to give you 4 signs like you're asking, but we'll give you 3. But what you set is the total number of signs. It will be up to the applicant to decide how to meet that requirement. So they could choose, notwithstanding what they've heard tonight, to keep that queue right where it is, even though that seems to be the one that people have the most problem with. And for example, choose to take away the quick check text and keep themselves at the 3 limit, or take away one of the canopy logos and keep themselves at 3. So I think the board is allowed to set the number of signs, but not necessarily tell them which sign they need to remove. I'm not sure if that clarifies it all, but
No, that does clarify it.
now, again, realistically, if they had to remove
Right.
one, which one would they
Right.
remove?
I'm thinking they're not
Probably be
gonna,
the queue.
they're not gonna remove the quick check, and they're not gonna remove the canopy signs because he's already given the justification on why they need the signs on both sides of the canopy, so.
So I just want to clarify, the question before you folks on the variance is the total number, which signs they choose to use with whatever number they get is going to be up to them. It's like crickets.
Yeah. So, oh, right, so the board has the discretion of not giving a full granting of the variance, but some number up to that. Right, where the full is requesting for 4 signs, the board could grant 3
Or 2,
or 2.
or none.
So, let's see, where are we? I don't know if, did we do our elements? Need a roadmap.
I think you went through
Full
the,
5?
and then I
Okay.
think
That was the discussion.
John and Daryl may have had different views or the same views. I can't remember.
So are any motions to grant or to not grant this requested variance come out?
So before we get a motion to that, I don't know that we can do straw polls, but it doesn't seem like it's a motion or an unmotion decision if we're going from 4 to 3, because a denial would mean we're stuck to 1 versus alternating the request from 4 to 3.
So
See what I'm saying?
I do. So again, if somebody was to propose a motion to grant, I think that motion should be phrased, for example, grant the variance application to the extent of allowing 4 signs. Or alternatively, grant the variance to the extent of allowing 3 signs. So that's how I think they would do it.
Thanks.
So I would make a motion to grant to the limit of 3 signs.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Okay.
we have not voted.
So you're specifying a number, but not location, correct?
Correct.
So like Chris was saying, they would just have to determine which one they wanted. Okay. I'm in favor.
Nobody
Aye.
seconded.
Aye.
Oh, Patricia,
Patricia.
Oh,
sorry,
here,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's quick.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So the motion, I'm sorry, the variance has been granted to the limit of 3 signs
3 wall signs.
and canopy.
So that number includes everything other than the freestanding. Is that right?
Yes.
So then the total number of signs.
So I think that's salt itself. So there was
Okay.
always a differential between what they were allowed and what they wanted, which was 3. Okay? That all happened to be on the wall signs. So by granting the variance as to the wall signs so as to allow 3, you've resolved that total number of signs, which was 2 versus 5. It's that same 3 sign differential. So essentially and again, we can go through the motion, but you basically decided the total number of signs on the site is 4, which is the 3 wall signs you just approved with your vote, plus the freestanding sign, for a total of 4.
Okay, right.
Did I say that right, Ken?
Yes.
I don't see a need to have to go through the elements to prove that, by the way that we just.
I agree.
Any other loose ends?
I don't think so.
So for clarity, since we're allowed 3 wall signs and we've determined that the freestanding sign is already allowable per code, there's no need for a variance for the total number of all signage. Thus, we're not proceeding with variance number 5.
So I think we'll do a motion to approve that. And what we're saying is you're allowed, counting everything together, you're allowed 2. You asked for 5. The board, I'm assuming in a moment, is going to grant the variance to allow a total of 4, which, as we know, will be your 1 freestanding sign plus the 3 wall signs that were just approved. So, and why don't you call for a motion on total number of signs on the site?
Right.
2 is allowed. Its variance is granted as to a total of 4.
Right, right. And that would include the 3 wall signs and the 1 freestanding sign. So I make
Correct.
that motion. Would a member second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Patricia. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your hard work and consideration and deliberation. Thank you, applicant, for doing that with us.
Thank you for your patience. It's been a long haul to get here and a long evening, but thanks for that detailed explanation and thorough process. We appreciate it, and I'll miss seeing you guys every month.
Yeah.
You're welcome to come back next.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll take a little break.
All right, take care now.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll just gather our papers together, and then in a moment or two, we'll look at the new item of business, Golden Grain Pizza.
Hey, Tim. Hey, Tim.
So we want to construct a van that has a sign,
Oh, yeah.
What we do with this meeting is just review the application, and so that it's communicated with something.
What signs?
Absolutely. yeah.
I'm going to make sure he doesn't, he has the right sides.
And Daryl, the minutes will reflect what we, what we're going to discuss now. And if you have any questions, just, let me know.
Okay.
I hope everybody's better. Of course. Okay. Hey, welcome, hello.
Good evening.
Daryl's just going to step out, but
Yeah,
yeah, we're
that's
all
fine.
good. Yes, so if you could kindly introduce yourself.
Sure.
And if you could kindly give a brief overview of the project that you're proposing.
Sure thing. Good evening. My name is Nick Costa. I'm with Advanced Engineering and Surveying, and we're here tonight to represent the owner of this parcel, Zephyr Ock. Unfortunately, Mr. Ock is out of the country and couldn't be here tonight. So he requested that I represent him for this area variance application. This is just a little history. This is a site at 585 Hoosick Street. It's an existing building that Mr. Rock has been redeveloping. It was formerly a dry cleaners. I think it was built as a dry cleaners, and he has purchased the property and is working towards opening up a Golden Grain pizza at that location. And the application for the area variance is due to, can everybody hear me?
Yes, thank you.
The application for the variance is because the building, the existing building doesn't meet any of the current zoning requirements. It's just non-conforming to those zoning requirements, which are shown on the plan. But what Mr. Ock has added is an outdoor dining patio at this location, closest to Oneida Avenue. And the setback from the property line to the patio, not to the overhang. There's a dashed line that's shown on the plans that represents the overhang, but the concrete patio is about 5 feet from the property line. The overhang itself at this particular location actually is encroaching by inches onto the property as it currently stands. So the building and the plans show the dimensions from the property line, their closest locations. The dark brown is the outline of the existing building, and the closest that the existing building is to the property line along Oneida Avenue is 5 feet, and this concrete patio is also 5 feet from that property line. But the overhang does encroach by mere inches on that particular location, at that particular locations.
What does it encroach into?
It encroaches into the Oneida Avenue right of way. If you look closely at the drawing that we submitted, it's very, very close. Like I said, it's basically maybe 2 inches, maybe 1 inch. It's very, very close.
What is the purpose of the patio?
Outdoor dining. So during the seasonal, when the season allows it, people can come out here and there'll be tables and chairs, and they can eat outdoor. It's a model that's become more and more popular ever since COVID. And he would like to offer that to the customers.
I'm not sure if it's missing in my application or missing in all applications. I don't see any bollard design drawings.
A bollard?
I don't know.
Structures that provide for safety to customers next to a vehicle highway.
Okay.
Because if I understand correctly, so people are outside, enjoying outside dining while they're in the right-of-way of a road?
No, so the right of way here is, I believe it's 50 foot wide. The road itself is down here, is here. So there's a green, there's a substantial distance of green that's here, that's probably, I would say 12, maybe 12, 14 feet. And the topography in here is, not substantially higher, but it's higher. It's probably 4.5, 5 feet higher in height. So vehicles would be traveling up and down in this direction on Oneida Avenue. It would be very difficult for somebody to go up that slope and come up and hit anybody that may be enjoying having their pizza out there.
So do you know how far, so that's a town road,
That's correct.
and what is their easement or right-of-way for the town road?
It's either 50 or 60 feet. I do have a scale with me, if you don't mind. Have me grab the scale. I'll let you know what.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah, so that's 50 feet. That's a 50-foot right away. And the road is about, it's about 22 feet wide, right, in this stretch of the road, which is typical, 11-foot drive lanes.
That property line is on a very steep bank. If you're familiar with that site at all, Roxy's Cleaner sits up on a knoll,
Right,
and that road sits down on
Yeah, when you,
the
Right.
elevation. So it's quite a knoll where the property line is.
when you come down from Hoosick Street, Oneida, you're going down, and then it levels off. Oneida Avenue levels off. This, like I said, if you were to stand right here, it's at least, 4.5, 5 feet above you.
It'd be nearly impossible for a car to travel up that slope on the side to get to the side of that.
Yeah, and the traveling, vehicles would be going in this direction. They wouldn't necessarily be going down, towards that.
What is the speed limit, the miles per hour at that?
The speed limit in here is the town speed limit, which is 30 miles an hour. But they just installed speed humps throughout this area because people were using it as a shortcut to get up to Walmart and from Walmart.
Yeah.
So it's slow. The traffic here is slow, and the speed humps are quite, the speed humps, they're not, you don't want to be hitting them at 30 miles an hour because you're going to do damage to your vehicle.
so I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So do you know what the seating capacity is inside the restaurant? And then what they would be asking to add for the patio?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that there's a floor plan.
Right, I looked at the plan, sort of counted up, but, I don't know, they have benches and stuff, and I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I just want to see if it's summarized somewhere. No, I don't have that. I'm sorry, that.
That's okay. You could bring it at the next meeting.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah, I'd
think
like to know what the seating capacity is in the restaurant, and then what
The seat-
additional
Yep.
seating they're proposing for the patio.
Yep.
And then, so they have 8 parking spots in front of the
yes,
building,
And then they have some additional.
and then I thought there were 8 across the street, and then 3.
Yeah.
8 is 16, 3 is 19 parking spots.
yes, a total, right?
But then they have staff that are parking. Without staff, where do they park?
Yeah, that would be, it would be parking, these would be reserved for the employees.
So the 3,
Right.
right, because there's no sidewalk or anything from behind the building.
No,
for
there
any
isn't.
Patrons to be walking up to get
Right.
into the, okay.
Yeah, and that's the rear entrance. There is a rear entrance there that they can use.
So just for a little clarity, this little drawing that was handed out.
Yep.
Is what was approved by the planning board. And that little porch that's shown in there, highlighted in yellow,
Mhm.
is 9 by, I think, I don't have my glasses, 21 and change.
Yeah.
That was approved by the planning board as an outside patio.
Okay.
What they actually built, and I'll let Nick explain the size of it,
Right.
they expanded that
That's correct.
in the field to, help me with that, Nick?
13 by 30.
13 by 30.
Yeah.
So now that puts them out of the building envelope.
Wait, they were approved for a 9 by
They're trying to get it fixed.
21,
Correct.
but then
And
they, when they
that
built
was
something.
within, that was within the building envelope of the setbacks. Now they expanded that, so now it's encroaching beyond the building setbacks. That's hence why it's in front of you folks.
So the patio was originally approved,
Correct. As you see it in that drawing, this 8.5 by 11.
but they built it bigger.
They-
That's correct.
Yes,
Yep.
inadvertently built it larger than was approved.
I don't think so.
And that's what's the issue with the 5 feet from the property line?
It brought it beyond the building setbacks.
Correct.
Hence is why it's here at this board.
Okay.
So if they built a 9 by 21, they wouldn't be in front of the ZBA.
So what is this current size?
13 by 30.
13 by 30.
And then with the overhang, they have a 5-foot overhang on it, which is extremely large and unusual, which pushes it out even further.
That's right.
Sounds like we have a problem.
So typically, in the building department world and the code world, setbacks for a building are traditionally from the foundation wall. And it's assumed in a residential commercial, that you're going to have some minor overhang, anywhere from a foot to say 2 foot. This particular building has a 5-foot overhang, which is extremely large, which again pushes it out even further. So it's a discretion of the local jurisdiction on where you pick the setback for. Traditionally, our office picks the building wall with the assumption of you have up to say 2-foot max overhang. So this has got 2 issues. One, they went beyond the 9 foot and the 21 foot. And on top of that, they built this enormous overhang that pushed them right out to the town right away. Literally, I mean, they're literally right on the town right away, right? For the overhang.
Well, what impact does that have on the town then? I mean, the right of way is there for a reason. Town's right of way.
Oh, yeah, they're beyond the building limit, which is why they're here in front of you to deliberate on how you guys want to handle it.
What's your relationship, Kevin, between the location of the edge of the right of way and the property boundary line?
It's the same.
It's the same.
okay.
Yeah, it's the
All
same.
right.
It's the same line.
So if you look at this map, Chris, there's a dashed line on the inside. That's basically the setback requirement. for the-
Okay, I got you.
And then you have the property line.
The existing building, like I said, when I started, the existing building does
Right.
not meet any of the setback requirements because it predates the
Right.
zoning.
Right.
It goes back to, I think the original building was built in 1962.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Right.
in that era. So it doesn't meet any of, it's a non-conforming built existing structure.
So then the applicant should have known that if it was a pre-existing non-conforming building, that they would need a variance to change it. So this should have come before the zoning board before, and before the,
That's not just their fault. That's my department's fault as well.
uh-huh,
And the planning board, that was all missed.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Right. No, during it did receive the site plan approval, and then it went into construction. And when they were doing the construction, I think there was a little bit of again, an omission, because when they did the building plans actually showed the 13 by 30 patio,
Right.
and that's what they built. But unfortunately, what they built doesn't conform
The site plan.
to the site plan, to the approved site plan.
That's
That's
you're right, Am. This is a non-conforming structure, and it should have come from this board from the
From-
beginning,
from the
even for the 9 by
exactly,
21, but it was an oversight.
right, okay, right. Right. And what material is the patio made out of?
It's a concrete surface that'll be covered with some type of a tile. And then it has, the rendition here shows it to be some type of a metal clad that'll match the overhang. That's how that's shown, okay?
So it's a full foundation. It's not like an Alaskan slab. It's on a
No.
full frost wall foundation.
So a couple more things.
Sure.
So maybe as you picked up during the previous application, one of the standard elements that the zoning board members consider is some other feasible alternative to what you're offering. What would be a feasible alternative to coming from the board to request this variance?
I think that, one of the alternatives is to diminish the overhang. As Kevin mentioned, that it's built, the overhang, the structure for the overhang is already there. The metal material that make up the overhang is already installed. That could be cut back, so that it doesn't encroach. And it goes back to whatever the board thinks it's feasible. As Kevin mentioned, 1 foot, 2 foot is normal for an overhang. So that could be cut back.
Is the overhang a permanent structure or is?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Uh,
It's part of the structure. And the building itself, in its existing conditions, had an overhang. The dry cleaners had an overhang, a substantial overhang. You can see it here. It's quite, all along the front. And that remains, and they carry that style all the way around the side to cover the patio.
Will customers be dining outside in the front under that overhang?
No, the front, won't be used for any dining. The dining will only be on the side patio.
And I think if we can all go over together the values chart So it's the required and proposed. There's some values here that I'm unfamiliar with, so we can kindly all get on the same page for that,
Sure.
please.
Sure.
So it's the required and proposed chart.
Yeah, so the lot size is, requires 15,000. This is an existing parcel that only has 9,284 square feet. The width at the back, the width of the setback, I said it's not applicable because it doesn't have a width at the setback. It's already into the building. That width. So it's not applicable. The front setback is 30 feet. We have about 25 feet. Now, just as a little bit of history, when Hoosick Street was widened, they did take land from this parcel. So when this parcel, before the taking, it probably would have met the 30-foot setback in the front. So New York State DOT came along and did a taking, and they set this property line right here. It used to be out here. They set it back because of the improvements they made to the road. The rear setback, it says, the code has 30 feet. This is a corner lot, so I'm not sure how the town, Kevin probably can educate us on that, but there is really no rear lot or rear side because it's, this is a front and this is a front. It has two fronts. So usually when,
Right, and it has two sides.
and it has two sides, right?
Correct.
Usually you don't have a rear. I did put 6 feet because this is a rear. It's at 6 feet, but it's a side, so it's 6 feet. Left side, setback is, the left side is, as I mentioned before, it's 5 feet. And the right side setback is 4 feet, which is, this one here is 4 feet, and this is 5 feet that exist. Lot coverage, 40%. It's 40% coverage. There's not much green space on that lot. Maximum height is 30 feet. The height of this building is about 18 and a half feet.
Okay. So with non-conforming pre-existing, we don't need to kind of write all what's wrong with this lot, just the new expansion. Am I making myself clear? So like we don't need to, like grant a variance for the 6 feet in the rear.
No.
I would focus on what the applicant has asked for.
Right.
What they've applied for.
Right.
Um,
Or the building
And
department.
for my benefit, can you just help me understand what is physically there now versus what is proposed to be physically there when you're done?
Physically, structurally, everything that was proposed is there. It's not finished. The finishing hasn't been done, but the addition of this patio is there. The overhang is there.
So you're, just so I understand it,
Yeah.
you're not proposing to expand the footprint of the patio that's there today.
No.
which is that 31 by 13 with the
That's correct.
overhang.
Yeah.
You just want to get that blessed.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. I have a question for the building department. Are there any other restaurant establishments in Brunswick that have outdoor eating, seating and eating?
Yep, up in the Walmart Plaza, and there's Ponchos.
Uh-huh.
They have outside seating.
And if I recall, so that's very interesting. So, and I recall about that, so they probably do not have a 30 mile per hour speed limit going through the parking lot around, I think Spectrum's there, much slower.
Yeah, it's a parking lot speed.
It's
That's
parking
correct.
lot speed.
They have,
And they do, they have bollards in front to protect the patrons from any errant,
No, I
vehicle.
understand. No, I understand what you're saying. When you initially asked, I wasn't sure exactly what you were asking for,
right,
but this, this right here has a substantial elevation difference, for a vehicle to get up there.
I know, but
No.
my goodness.
Well,
but there's still vehicles coming in
Down,
and out.
straight across.
Well, coming in,
Over here?
no,
Yeah.
right in front of the building.
Yeah,
There's
no-
parking,
Yeah, no,
there's,
that'll have, some type of a bollard, we'll
Yeah,
add
we'd
to
love
it.
to see that design.
Yeah, no, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
no, that's fine.
Yeah, thank you.
No, we can add some bollards. This, I agree, that in this area, there should be, for safety purposes, there should be some bollards. Right here, I think you have to look at the site
Okay,
and
right,
really,
right.
see what.
Because I understand the direction kind of going in like north and south,
That's
they may
correct.
not veer, but you do have like horizontal traffic if someone's kind of coming out of that parking lot,
Yeah,
pushing the wrong pedal.
yeah.
That's what I mean.
Again, you have to see it, and they would have to have some kind of a physical event for them to, push.
Make the mistake.
or just be
It-
old.
There are-
They're going to be slowing down as they come out of that parking lot.
Yeah.
They're going to be slowing down to make sure that they can make the maneuvering they need to make.
Left
either
or
go
right.
Left or right.
Mhm.
So they're going to be slowing down. But if somebody was, and it's happened, there have been cars that have gone through Stewart's and other places like that. Even if they were to do that, they would hit this hill and they wouldn't go any further.
Are there parking spaces on the frontage on Hoosick?
Yes.
And those are of the same grade and elevation as the patio?
Yes,
That's correct.
Okay, so
And that's where you come in and out of that part of the parking. There'll be an entrance and an exit.
Yes.
So if I'm using that parking space that's on the corner of the patio,
Right.
and instead of backing out, I put it in drive and hit the
Yeah.
gas,
Yeah. You
my,
would,
my next stop is the patio.
Your 85-year-old mother could be driving and she thinks she has it in reverse.
I could be driving and think I have it in reverse. Don't bring my mother into it.
no, we'll add, that's a very good suggestion. I think, we'll add.
Not to belabor the point, but toward the top, you see how you have the tan portions there? We've been talking about the patio.
Mhm.
At about 11 o'clock, go up a little bit to the next tan spots. Nope, higher.
Higher.
There you go, to your right.
Yep.
Those tan spots on the survey, whatever site plan, it looks like there's already bollards around that. What are those protecting? AC units?
No, they're gone.
Oh, those bollards are gone?
Yeah, there used to be.
Okay.
That's where the mechanical system was for the dry cleaners. So those have been removed, and the ramp has actually been installed here. 'Cause their deliveries are going to be, at the rear, so. Yeah, I think he's looking at the older.
Yeah, so that's the original.
Oh, okay, all right. That helps me, thank you. I got it.
So the question from the zoning board is whether or not we deem this application complete for the purpose of holding a public hearing, and that would take place at our next meeting in February, February 23rd, 2026. We did request some additional information. We wanted to know the seating capacity of both
Yep.
inside and outside.
Right.
Let's see, the bollard design, particularly on the frontage of Hoosick. Are there any other outstanding questions?
Andy, do we have time to get a public hearing notice published before the next meeting?
It would be very close.
So,
March would probably be, March definitely, 2 weeks from now, would be
Well,
very, very
don't-
close.
Keep in mind, our next meeting is pushed a week because of the 16th, right?
It's the 23rd.
Yeah, next meeting is
So-
so the next meeting is 2
23rd.
weeks from tonight, right? And that's what you're saying would be tight.
Very close.
So this might be a public hearing for the March meeting, whatever date that is.
And that would allow you time then to get the outstanding information to the building department, and they would get it out to us.
Okay. If at all possible, the project is on hold right now. He was looking to have it open, and Kevin's been working, with the applicant. It would be great if the 23rd, if it could happen on the 23rd, but I also can understand that if it can't.
So part of the issue is
Yeah.
we're required to have publication of the public
Right.
hearing at least 10 days before the meeting.
Right.
We're already dealing with a 14
Yep.
days from tonight, so getting that prepared, getting that submitted, getting that published can be a challenge when you only have 2 weeks between the meetings.
Okay, that's fine. I'll explain it to him.
So-
Sure, and we understand your concern
Yeah.
too.
We touched on this, Chris, at one of the planning board meetings, that this is going to need to go in front of the planning board as well
After they're done with us?
because of the modification to the site plan, for them to approve this modification to the site plan.
But after they're done with us.
Well, yeah, I mean, what we've done in the
That's what
past,
we-
we have had joint public hearings. So I wonder if you can invite the planning board, or is it premature without them reviewing it? I'm just throwing it
Yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
sure, right.
Well, they
right.
have to have our decision, don't they?
Yes,
Before they.
Right, but we have shared public hearings, and then
We
you
have.
guys go and deliberate, and then planning board
Right.
goes and deliberates.
we have.
But they wouldn't be able to deliberate on their end until you were done. But we have combined the public hearings to compress the schedules in the past. I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, no, it's a good thought. So, so if we held a public hearing March 16th, what does that do for the planning board?
Well, they would also need to do a public hearing,
Right,
which would push this another month, say, right?
Mhm.
After yours. So I'm just saying it would have compressed the applicant's schedules as long, if possible. That's all I'm saying.
right. When does the planning board meet again?
The 19th.
Yeah.
So at the meeting on the 19th, planning board could theoretically adopt a resolution scheduling a public hearing on the site plan to be jointly held with the zoning board on March 16th.
Yeah, I mean, they were given this information already, but could not act until it went to the ZBA.
So how would that work, Kevin? Would the planning board members come on a regularly scheduled ZBA night, or would we go to the regularly scheduled planning board
They've
night?
done it both ways. I mean, two chairmen usually work it out. They've done it both ways.
So between now and the 19th, right, which is about a week and a half away, maybe we can just communicate and see whether that's feasible.
Well, I thought that if we couldn't have it on the 23rd, how could we have it on the 19th?
No. What I was saying was we're proposing in concept to have a joint public hearing for both the ZBA variance and the site plan for the planning board on March 16th. But we don't know if that's going to work until you have a chance to speak with Russ and see whether there's any traction to that idea. If you guys could have that conversation between now and the next planning board meeting, which is the 19th,
Mhm.
then assuming all the stars align, we can have the planning board adopt a resolution for their public hearing to coincide with
Got it.
your hearing on the 16th.
Okay, I understand. Right.
So I don't see any reason why, if the board is comfortable and believes the application is ready, why you can't schedule this for a public hearing on the 16th. The only thing to be tied is whether it'll be just a ZBA public hearing.
Right,
Or whether we're going to marry it up with the planning board.
right. So does the zoning board have any opinions about not doing that? Or would you be comfortable holding a joint public hearing with the planning board on this application?
It doesn't matter to me because I'm not going to be here.
Oh, okay.
It's fine with me.
Okay, right. So you could kind of, through you, the planning board invites the zoning board invites the planning board to join us on March 16th for a joint public hearing, if they so wish, to help expedite this whole application process for the applicant.
Okay, so we're going to schedule, the ZBA is scheduling this for a public hearing on the variance for March 16th.
Right.
The
Pending-
zoning board has.
Yeah.
Will invite, offer, extend to the planning board the opportunity to have their public hearing the
Yes.
same night.
Mhm.
We'll coordinate that. Andy, why don't you hold off on publishing anything until we've figured out whether this will be a joint public hearing or not, which we will certainly know well before the publication time for the March 16th meeting. And we'll take it from there.
Right. Can we say pending the receipt of the information that we requested from the applicant?
Yeah.
Correct.
So the public hearing would be on the 16th of March.
So we're proposing.
I can reach out to Russ in the morning.
Thank you.
Sure.
We'll have that information to
Thank you.
Kevin this week.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess, Kevin, if we couldn't get everybody, we just need a quorum of planning board members willing to come in on a Monday at 6.
Gotcha.
Do you have any other questions for us?
No, I think I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, if anything does come up in the
Yep.
meantime, please,
No,
continue the
we'll-
coordination that you're doing with the building department.
We'll certainly do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for being
You
so
too.
patient.
Oh, no, that's,
8:25.
So Ann, you would start that meeting at, this public hearing at 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Good question,
Yeah.
Kevin. It is different times.
Then the planning board can just leave after they, so does our.
Of course, that's right, right. And we usually ask the applicants, it generally pertains to people who are residents, but do you give permission to the zoning board members to come out and visit the site?
sure.
Okay, thank you
Yeah,
very
you
much.
have permission.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Just be aware it is a construction.
Yeah, I was going to say, just be careful.
They're not allowed, I stopped work on that portion of the property, but inside they're allowed to work.
Okay, yeah, thank you. We'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Any other items of new business that someone would like to bring up at this time? Otherwise, I would make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Would a member second?
A second.
Thank you, Patricia. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so
You
I
gotta
will
put this
not
back
be
here.
here on the 23rd.
Okay.
And I will not be here on the 16th.
Oh, I'm gonna miss you. Okay.
Well, I'm going to California.
Oh.
And then I'm coming home from there, and we're going to
Oh,
Florida. So,
good for you.
Sure, I can send it to you.
Yeah.
And then
I'll
I
make
left
note of
you.
that.
I got that. Oh, you gave me the EAF?
Yeah,
Heading.
we'll get that for Lenny.
I did get it.
I will
We'll probably have to take a look at that.
Sure.
every
Russ is looking at it right now. Yeah, I see your point. You might have to
see every
curtail it a little bit,
single
soften it a little bit.
I haven't really looked at it. just looked at
Oh,
it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't see the list and look at it.
Understood.
To me, it was